over?
I think so.
What letter is this?
Q.
Q. This is indeed a
You found it.
All right, welcome to the Patriot Hour. I'm Michael, your host for 7/23/2018. Thanks for stopping by. If you're new to the channel, please maybe like, subscribe, ring the bell. Maybe after the video, comment, take a look at the description box. We got some important stuff to go over here tonight. We got Ben in the studio. We got a video we're going to kick off right away before we get into it. Let's take a look at this.
The FISA court warrants that were issued against Carter Page corruptly. You may recall Devin Nunes' Intelligence Committee exposed and blew the whistle on those FISA warrants because at their heart was the Clinton DNC dossier created by Fusion GPS, a paid vendor of the Clinton campaign and Democratic National Committee, who laundered money through the law firm Perkins Coie. Paid Fusion GPS, who worked with Russian intelligence and Lord knows who else. They laundered that document into the Justice Department and the FBI, in part through Bruce Orr, whose wife worked at Fusion GPS, a vendor for the Clinton campaign. And they went to the FISA court and they said, oh, we've got all this reason to investigate Carter Page. All this reason was the Clinton DNC dossier, because it was clear, according to the Intelligence Committee analysis, that there would have been no FISA application that would have been approved by the court but for the Clinton DNC dossier. And the court was never told about its origins, which would have called into question whether there was a legitimate basis for the warrant. So you have this corrupted spy operation, again, the Peter Strzok spy operation, Comey, McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, that whole gang, John Brennan, Susan Rice, all involved in the use of this Clinton DNC dossier, and yes, President Obama. So Judicial Watch asked for these records last year.
Smackdown.
And it's 1 year almost to the day.
1 year.
And they're due to us today. Now I expect they'll be redacted. I don't know how much will be there, but it's good to see the stonewalling and cover up are beginning to end. And these are documents that I don't know if even Congress has had access to fully. So Congress is going to be very interested in this, and it shows you why it's important to be in court and why it's important to have an independent entity like Judicial Watch pursuing these records in court. We're pursuing these records about the FISA warrant abuses. We're pursuing these records about, for instance, CIA Director John Brennan's leak to Democrats in the Senate to get the Clinton dossier, which supposedly was classified, into the public record. We're suing for records on Podesta, the Podesta group. I think we have at least 34 federal FOIA lawsuits on this deep state conspiracy and illicit targeting of Donald Trump. And I just checked the other day, my colleagues checked in with me, you know Chris Farrell, who is our Director of Investigations. He told me we have 201 Freedom of Information Act requests pending on this scandal.
Wow.
Congress isn't doing that, and you can bet the media isn't doing that, but we're doing it. So we'll keep you apprised in all of this. A lot to talk about there today, but we're on it. We're on it. And the media can hyperventilate all they want about President Trump, but he's right to be concerned about this intelligence community, which was corrupted under President Obama and is oblivious, in my view, to the corruption currently. I mean, Dan Coates, what is he doing? He's the Office of Director, he's the head of the National Intelligence, Office of Director of National Intelligence. The intelligence community, which illicitly targeted President Trump, or then candidate Trump, and still targeting him to a certain extent, and bent over backwards to protect Hillary Clinton. And they're still protecting her today. Judicial Watch asked for a damage assessment of the spillage of classified information that we know took place as a result of Hillary Clinton's misuse of a server to conduct government business that included having classified information on it, which of course was open to virtually anyone who wanted to look at it if you were sophisticated enough. And believe me, our foreign intelligence adversaries and friends are sophisticated enough. She had top secret information on that server, and the intelligence community was confirmed by the IG report they didn't want to do it during the Obama administration, and they still don't want to do it. So as they're going full bore against President Trump, they're protecting Hillary Clinton. And President Trump is criticized for not understanding, supposedly, the difference between Russia meddling in our election and allegations he colluded, that you don't have to put one with the other. Well, he's not misunderstanding it because the intelligence community keeps on conflating the two issues. There'd be no Mueller special counsel if there was no conflation of the two issues. One can agree that the Russians were trying to mess with us during the 2016 election. I'm sure they've been trying to mess with us since the time the Bolsheviks came to power, often with the help of the left. That's not the issue. The issue is the false allegation generated by the Clinton campaign that the Russians were colluding with Donald Trump. And the intelligence community bought that to a certain extent in a corrupt way because they were partisan hacks, and they're still pursuing Trump over it.
Wow.
Jeez. You know, that's the truth.
Wow. No, I thank Tom Fitton from over at Judicial Watch. They do great work over there. We've been watching them for years.
Yeah, he's
Been around
they're
since the
a
90s.
good bunch of people out there for sure. Yeah, they don't play any games. And he made a good point with the fact that Congress is not having those FISA, all those requests for the information out.
They're the ones, either him or another group, are the ones that pulled stuff, had to fight tooth and nail. They wanted a slow play to 2021, but they fought, a judge overruled, and we got the Lisa Page Strzok stuff. And then when they took it back to Comey or to whoever, that's when they're like, oh, okay, I guess we maybe better remove this guy. That's the only reason Peter Strzok got removed, is because of Judicial Watch or another group similar. And
bringing up
they
this
found it out. Their own auditors within the FBI or DOJ didn't find these texts. It was pointed out to them. So it's
it's super interesting, And of course, on the IG report, Q had told us it was highly modified, highly redacted. So we're waiting for the other IG report to be, dropping the bombshell as well. But I mean, it's exactly what's been happening. When you look at what Judicial Watch had what we just looked at, and he's saying how, you can't. Yes, we know that Russia. And let's be frankly honest, how many other countries have tried to meddle and basically put a monkey wrench in our presidential election process? That's very true. I will agree with the people. Yes. Yeah, I will agree. We've been doing a great point since the Bolsheviks, and even probably before them. But the difference is collusion, working with like we talked about,
them
conspiracy,
trying to,
two people conspiring together to work for
it's
evil criminal
just to
activities.
Throw
cannon
something,
fodder, if you will.
But if you have that help on the other end, grabbing, shaking hands, and then working with you to help them, that's a different ballgame. That's what I'm upset about. That was what was being screamed for this whole time. All of a sudden, I was wondering how the mainstream was going to spin out of what they were saying, and they just dropped that part of Trump-Russia collusion, and now they're admit that there was Russia collusion. You won't admit it, and he's already done admitted it. He's just never admitted that he colluded.
As President Putin, Hiker is the highest power in the Russian Federation.
They've been wrong this whole time, and then they want him to go over there and point in his face and do things that they want him to do. The mainstream want him to do. Like, exactly. Point in his face and tell him this. And start something, so we got something to talk about here. It's ridiculous.
Well, it really is a whole wag the dog kind of a feeling, if you will, of the whole, let's say something that it could be credibly true, because we do know, we have been yelling that for years. Oh, there's been meddling. China was, I think, the last couple elections ago, it was China meddling with us, or Iran.
Yeah.
So what you won't be the response in the FISA release?
I was just looking here, responding to FISA release, Carter Page calls spying allegations ridiculous. So this is all in the... So I guess this release of the FISA proved to these people that that's all they had. You know, we were hearing from Clapper and Brennan and all these guys going around with their ex clearances or still valid clearances and basically monetizing off of it, being host on CNN, having their own little programs and claiming, you know, they know this and that, but they were naysayers of this whole well, the only thing you guys had was a paid for DNC/Clinton dossier that was written by some guy, and it was proven to be a lot of lies in there. No, that's not the only thing. These judges never would have signed off. We have a process that's in play, and things have to be signed off. I mean, but now we're finding out that that's exactly what it was. So why did they withhold from these judges who paid for the dossier that they were giving them as evidence? Why?
Because that would have showed conflict of interest, and any judge worth his salt in law would go, I can't legally sign this, or else it'd be against the law, because I would knowingly know that this is a invalid coming from a source that you know and you're biased, and it'd be red flags everywhere. So
and we've heard we've heard that this again, like when they came at Hillary, like, you signed off on that, you know, uranium one. There was 10 other agencies that had to sign off.
It was a whole bunch of
but they didn't know about that court guy, the undercover FBI guy too, that was wanting to come talk, but you guys had him hemmed up with paperwork. The FBI is like, we'll ruin your life if you talk to anybody. And so this guy's sitting mute. And maybe had any of them agencies got to know a little bit what was going on, and this FBI guy and his concerns, this actual citizen that was a paid informant or flipped informant after he came forward saying, I've seen a lot of dirty stuff, kickbacks. But so we've heard this, folks, this whole little, you know, this is going to go all the way up, I believe, to the highest levels, folks.
Well, I think, are you going to pull that? Well, I mean, what was on your last little one you had talked about where I kept on, now it's all shifting to, well, Obama said this. It wasn't us doing this. It was coming, they're trying to play the foot soldier action again of they were just following orders when, But still though, man, the whole thing's based on a piece of this whole FISA, this whole, you know, was released on basically with one document, and they were basically they're great poker players. They were bluffing beyond measure, and when we called them on their bluff, it was kind of like, oh yeah, it was just this one little thing we had here, but it was a good run, boys.
Yeah, it's like you said, they just lie, and then when really cornered, and here's a dead end fact, well, it was Obama, you know, or
they're trying to place the blame on somebody else but themselves, but you know the paperwork shows quite clearly. And you got pulled up in here, or which one?
That video just started playing all of a sudden. No, right here. Though heavily redacted, the new documents show that the infamous and unverified Steele dossier was a major component of the 2016 surveillance warrant. The dossier, which was opposition research funded by DNC and Hillary Clinton campaign, contains salacious allegations against Trump. It was also a major component used to justify the subsequent renewals on his surveillance. Every time, like, you're supposed to have new evidence.
Yeah.
Like you use the dossier, you get that first 90 days. Within that 90 days, you're going to gain new evidence, information that you're going to compile a new dossier or something like that, and through the dossier with this new, you're wanting a new surveillance renewal, and you're showing
you'll have new evidence to support your submission of renewal. It's like anything else. It's like the government's just not going to give you stuff. You got to submit paperwork and tell them why you're wanting to get it, the evidence you have, and yet
it seems
what
like
they were doing for 3 times. Yeah, they were like
3 times.
Let's see how good this works. It went through the first 2. Well, let's try 3rd time's a charm, right?
Yeah. And what, all three times it was withheld where it came from, who paid for it? I mean, folks, that alone
So
is equivalent to, I mean, that's just, you got two people running, one funds, get somebody to write a really bad book full of lies. That's bad enough. But that you took that to a court, got a judge decide, not just a normal court, hidden secret courts that are really scary, that they promised us they'd never do this kind of stuff years and years ago when they were creating them. Well, you got oversight. Nothing will ever happen. Trust us. And we did. And they used it not only against just a normal citizen, but a normal citizen that was running to beat them out of their...
For the highest office. And not only if these are the people who wrote the laws to be able to have them to go back to these closed doors behind these executive sessions and do this kind of stuff. And this is very poignant for the fact that, like you said, the whole reason why that they didn't release the source of this document is because they were trying to conflate the fact that there was more than one source, and this was just a dossier of a collection of multiple sources, if you will, although they're all unnamed, and thus they're extenuating that lie to each and every of the renewal request. And it gets so sickening for the fact that these people are using the same old tricks over and over again. And the problem is, like you said earlier, they're getting backed into a corner because, Q said the one thing that they're mostly afraid of, well, the one thing they are afraid of that more than anything else, is us waking up, the people finding out that what's happening, because we have the power to basically nip all their power and their position right at the bud, right at the knees, take them out, because we're the ones who actually have this. And what they're doing with these all closed courts, we'll never do this, like you said, they're now above the law that they helped to create and to enforce, and they're not serving the public in any way. They're serving their own personal. I know the military, you get hemmed up, and you can't have personal gain off of position duty and blah blah blah. So it's sickening and it's amazing all at the same time. It's a train wreck. You can't look away because it's a train wreck.
Yep. And this goes back, folks. Nunes, the head of the Republican security branch in Congress, the Security Oversight Committee, he's the one that's raised these concerns. Again, it's like you look into his background. He's making his salary up there in D.C., the $140 a year. His net worth. Now, I know some things have come out. They're saying he was spending some government money on Celtics tickets or this or that. And if that's wrong, if that's what it is, then whatever the punishment is.
Yeah, then he should. Yeah, well, for whatever allocation of funds, and that's true.
But you look at some of these other opposing people that are screaming at him a year ago when this was coming out, and they were the ones with $80 million somehow racketed up while they're in this position for the last 15 years.
Yeah.
But you look at his background, his net worth is like 40 grand. He's got a little bit of money saved, and he owns a winery, and it appears to be good, and he didn't have a bunch of money in his accounts.
Yeah.
But, I'm not saying this stuff doesn't cross both lines, but there are some good people. We know that. I would imagine.
Well, we can only speculate. No, exactly. We can only speculate on what evidence we have at hand. If you have a guy who came into D.C. with, okay, so let's say he had a couple $100,000, he was doing good for himself, but 10 years later, he's now in the tens of millions in profit. Something's wrong there, because we know that it is legal for insider trading to happen in Congress. It's very legal. There's nothing wrong for lobbyists to tell you about a certain stock that may be good to invest in, or hey, you might want to buy some property over here because, well, we know you guys are having a road and you're part of this commission, and so we know all those dealings are going on in Congress, in the government, and when these people sitting in, and you have to have a moral compass to not be evil like that, I guess, because these laws are set up to the people for them to get in power and where they're sitting at to get all this kind of stuff. And it's interesting, and I really, really hope that Trump is going to really be putting an end to all that kind of stuff, where it comes into, you're not going to be able to have insider trading as a congressman to know what company's buying what stock in relative to what land. because we know that's happened a few times, and that's perfectly legal. And that's why these people want to stay in there, because it's a big cash machine, and it's the taxpayers. We're the ones who's footing the bill for everything, and that's why I'm all about making America great again and putting the money back in our own pockets instead of these people doing shady over the seas deals, and especially what they're doing and paying other people to do things, to sling mud. Oh, I didn't say it. Oh, well, this just came out. I mean, that's insanity. That's like old school talking crap on the playground, but you're using somebody else to talk crap for you, you know?
Yeah. Send this message to him.
Yeah, I don't like him.
All right. Well, we are at the 20-minute mark. I think we're going to take a little down break here. We might come back with a part 2. It's up to Ben if he wants to.
Yeah, we'll see what's up and see if we can
get another little topic here. There's lots of hot stuff to go over, folks. So
lots of stuff.
Stick with us, and we'll be back. This is the Patriot Hour. I'm Mike. That was Ben.
I'm Ben. I appreciate it, you guys. Oh, yeah.
And we'll see you back here real soon on the next update.